LGC, honestly, LGC.
Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Island Stats Football Show. I'm your host, Earl Baston. Joining me, our co-hosts Macy O'Dill and Garrett Punchy Dill. We are awaiting Nikita Robinson, who is making her way onto the set momentarily. But gentlemen, let's just take a quick look at the results from this past week in the Premier Division. Remember, starting out on Thursday night, it was Boulevard Blazers 0, North Village Rams 3. Yesterday at the Wellington Oval, it was St. George's Colts 2, PHC Zebras 3. Last night at the Somerset Cricket Club, it was Somerset Trojans 3, Dendy Town Hornets 4. Today at Lords and St. David's, it was Crossroads 4, Robin Hood 1. And at the Wellington Oval, it was Hamilton Parish 0, Devonshire Cougars 2. In the first division, yesterday at Southampton Oval, it was Southampton Rangers 7, Somerset Eagles 4. Last night at the Somerset Cricket Club, it was Paget Lions 4, Devonshire Colts 1. Today at Lords and St. David's, it was St. David's 0, BAA 3. And at the Somerset Cricket Club, it was Island Rangers 1, Wolves 3. So gentlemen, we know the scores, but we've had two coaches move on from their respective clubs. We've seen now one team able to bounce right back and pick up a big win. That was last night. But first, let's talk a bit about North Village and their match on Thursday night against the Boulevard Blazers. North Village, as we know, are running in the league. They're undefeated, 7 games, 7 wins. They have a 5-point lead on second place, Devonshire Cougars, who have 16 now. But your thoughts on how Kenny is setting up North Village to remain undefeated thus far in the season, Maceo?
Yeah, definitely. They're gonna be brimming with confidence now, right? When you haven't lost, you're gonna start believing in what you're doing, and because it gets to the result, right? So regardless of what we pundits say from our position as to how they play or how they don't play, they're getting victors across the line, and the belief is getting there. So now it's definitely from a perspective is that they're going to believe that they're title contenders and they should deserve to win the title. So that builds a different type of pressure. And we have been saying it on this show for a long time now that if you organize yourself and bring an organization, defensive organization, it gives the attacking minded people a platform to win games. And we saw that last week with Scott, right? He just bought an organization and he gave the opportunity to win games. So there is definitely some type of organization going on in North Village's team that gives them the platform to win games.
Sure. Punchy, your thoughts on North Village, because we're going to get to Boulevard next, but your thoughts on North Village?
Trey Mean wasn't there. He's away. There's a few other guys that were out also. But what was most satisfying for me was that they didn't stray from the game plan. As usual with Kenny, and you got to give kudos to him also about what they're doing and why they're having these shutouts. They work extremely hard. But what was also good about that game the other night was showing Kenny's time with the team. And I keep reminding you all that they're still the oldest team in the league. I still do think so. But they are scoring goals. Mr. Bow, Justin is scoring goals. And I always talk to him. I talk to him quite a bit. He's always asking me advice about what he should do. I say, you need to be in the goal contention you need to be getting 10 or 15 goals a year. So it's coming. He's scoring these goals. And it was a good goal he scored also. Mm-hmm. But what they've done, what they do is still how they're playing. They're playing a little. I'm really surprised at what they do. They were really, they were really constructive against Boulevard, and there was a lot of times how they managed that game. I thought they managed the game well too, because Boulevard. We always had a problem when Boulevard comes up when they come to play against North. It's like, yo, A lot of those guys that don't make it, they go to Boulevard. They come from North Village. But I just thought that, wow, I thought they what they set out to do, even though Kenny might have been a disappointing on some aspects of the game, I think they managed that game well, and I thought they were out and out deserved winners of that game.
Sure. So we all know the Boulevard struggle, and the Boulevard struggle is when daylight saving time kicks in. How do they manage to train? Because they, are there lights at Victor Scott? Where are they training? How are they managing to keep a unit together? So the challenge for Boulevard, Maceo, that you see, they're going to give an effort because as you already said, they're from back of town, so they're going to fight to the end. But not being able to put in a full training session.
I mean, when you're living like I keep saying, when we're living like we lived in the '60s, and we're got car lights shining up fields like that. That time's over. That time's over if we want to improve the game. And if we talk about Boulevard, I think I talked to you guys before about when Lou Matthews was in Boulevard, and I asked him, listen, let's collaborate Boulevard and North Village together and share these resources as one club. Because Boulevard struggles from that perspective, and a lot of clubs struggle from that perspective. So it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable from the Boulevard management that their players have to train under those conditions. I know we like to say that, okay, we're from the back of the town and we're from the ghetto and we do this, but it's unacceptable if you want to move the game ahead. It's unacceptable so Boulevard management need to be reprimanded for that if they're not supporting these teams to develop. And any other club from that matter, any other club is that not doing their work in the executive levels to support the team's development. I mean, that we need to look at that. We need to look at that from the BSA level because you're losing talented players. No, you're losing talented people.
Yeah. Punchy, give your thoughts because you've seen this play before. I mean, and as Maceo pointed out, it's really not the players' fault, but they're actually being handcuffed by not being able to do what they can do, in a time slot to train. Their training sessions are more like games. So it as Maceo said, the coach likes to be disorganized. So he's got a coach during a game as opposed to have a coaching training session.
I witnessed something out there the other night again with Boulevard. But getting back to Maceo's point about, I thought about this also. How come they don't speak with North Village or David Shakuga so they could train on the lights and have somewhere where they can rather if North Village trains Tuesdays and Thursdays, maybe Boulevard could rent a few Mondays and Wednesdays or Fridays.
That undermines the value of North Village's field or anybody else's field. It's too much usage, then you can't get a quality surface. Yeah. For me, I'm speaking from a time. It's just too many clubs in Bermuda.
Well, I just think that what can we do? What can Boulevard do in terms of where they are now and for the training facilities? Now, there's another question there about Boulevard themselves. Ian Cope. I think Ian Cope. They have a few good players too. Yeah. Ian Cope is I imagine him if he go play for someone else, like North Village. I mean, some quality. But the problem is still exists that Boulevard is still there's still a problem there in terms of what I witnessed when the score was 2-0. The behavior, the attitude. I know Joe Mar's still having those problems with the attitude of the players there, what he wants to do, and then he's working with what he has. So it's just what we talked about earlier in the show about teams like Boulevard. What's going to happen when you got Joma wants to do something else, but it's only what he's working with. And like I said, I think they're still going to struggle this year.
Sure. And then, of course, yesterday at Wellington Oval, PAC jumped all over St. George's. They were up 3-0 at one point in time, and then St. George's got 2 late goals. But, PAC, again, a point to prove. They don't want to be out of this title race just yet. And, they came, they done the business. A lot of us doubted them. Actually, all of us doubted them. But they were able to do the business. Maceo, PAC, You never know what you're gonna get.
I actually think clubs like PHC, who is a footballing club, in my opinion, they're a footballing club. They respond to football criticism. So I know we give them football criticism on this show, and they're quite capable of responding, and which they show you. Now, in St. George's, different matter, right? I'm not deeming St. George's a footballing club yet because they can't win against footballing teams. They don't have what it takes yet to win against the PHC or to win against the Devonshire Cougars that are earned or North Village that are earned the right as footballing clubs. They've got a little ways to go. St. George's has just got a little ways to go. And for me right now, St. George's has got the better players. They got the better players, but the mentality is not there yet.
Mm.
Mm.
Looking at St. George's from yesterday, Punchy. Kadeem Abraham scored 2 quick early goals, and it became a struggle for them. I mean, trying to fight themselves back into the game, and then PHC went up 3-0. 2 goals in the last 4 minutes made the score line look handsome, but I mean, you left it a bit too late.
Yeah. When I got there, I had to work. I had some other stuff to do, so I got there. The school was already 2-0. But what I saw, the game was still going back and forth, even though PHC would up 2-0. Then the third goal went in from a set piece from a corner, I believe. That I thought, wow, well, ain't no way that was supposed to happen. It ain't no way. But what was most important about St. George's, I think PHC came out the blocks quick, right? They came out the blocks quick, and so that was what I was told. They, 2 quick goals, and St. George's is still putting together a program. Even though we got John T. Smith and those old boys there, and this new everybody's talking about Malachi.
Malachi Trott from the
Malachi Trott. Now, I'm going to discuss about what I feel about that team. You got John T. Smith. You got these 2 old boys. They play this very intricate game. They're good to watch. But there's still some parts of their game that has to be fixed. And I think Maceo was saying about they're still building. You're not going to have John Tate come right away and be sensational and then they're going to win everything. What I saw on Sunday was is that with the coaches with this, I found that the 2 whole boys and they play the same. They don't play simply enough to get the ball quick enough to John Tate in difficult situations against teams such as PHC or Village. I think at times you got the 2 whole boys and Mr. Malachi Joe. They're good ball players, but sometimes you got to watch when the game breaks down. What do they do? Who's the person that plays the simplest game? I think those 3 players, I'm not pointing my finger at them, but they play the same. They're like everything is thrust, everything is, sometimes I think that if you got a center forward like John Tate, his focus. Make sure you get the ball to him. He don't put a foot wrong. I just like, whoa, watching him play. But what I am concerned about with St. George's, and that game could end up 6-2, because PHC got a lot of times counterattack, because what I'm saying is that they were open. When things break down with St. George's, because they got 4 or 5, everybody's talking about these sensational guys. But sometimes the simple part of the game, it's got to be played. And I just thought that they make the game difficult at times. It's too much showmanship at times.
I mean,
that's my personal opinion about it. And I thought at the back they're good. I'm sorry, Mace. I thought they're good at the back. I thought they're okay at the back. But then what happens for them and I'd say, you put a line because 18-yard box, come outside. How do you get the ball to John T. Smith? Simple stuff. And I thought, it's just too much focus on, I don't know. It's just too much focus on the wrong parts of the game than they're playing in tight games.
On that point, and just an idea for St. George's coaches, because you're right. They tend to pick the same players that do the same exact thing, so there's no diversity in their team between this. So if you took a Malachi Trott and played him right back and let him come up from that position, it's a whole different look for him. There's a whole different attacking look and getting balls into John T. Trott. For me, he's not a number 10 player for me. He doesn't score goals and is not setting up enough goals. Number 10 players score goals to set up in goals. He's not getting his name on his score sheet enough. But as a right back and what he can deliver and give that outlet, and he can play one-on-one, he's good at playing one-on-one. So he can beat you one-on-one because he can handle the ball. So you already got Cash and Blaze that are playing out this sort of midfield that can do this ball handling stuff. And they just don't have for me, St. George just don't have enough diversity in how they're trying to play the game.
Oh, and you know, I kind of had this. So I came in and wrote this off. I went to the game yesterday. I saying when we were playing, I have to kind of revert back to when we were playing when I was playing Northwest in the Triple Crown Championship. So we had Now Castle. There was nothing spectacular about it. I mean, hey, yes, there was something, but anyway. So what you had, Randy Bean, you had Cal Deal, then you had two wide players, and you had Gumbo. So we front three were like, yeah, this is where the game, this is what matters, sir. The other guys, like my brother Cal, was an up and down box-to-box player. Randy Bean was the flashy guy. But look what happened. And now Now Castledon was play behind, did the real, what they call, not the dirty work. He was very safe. Right. I don't see that. I said to my nephew, I don't see that with St. George's. Sometimes your flashiness is not going to work against when the game is hinging on just basic quality, simple stuff, especially when you got John Tate. And that's what I noticed yesterday. Right. And I didn't make you say that when they come up against these teams like Norfolk, well, you know, we'll break up that flashiness. We'll stop you. Now, what do you do after this, sir? And that's where the coaching comes in now with St. George's, because they do have quality there. There is quality there. How do they organize that quality collectively to win those games against PHC? Because I think it's there.
Well, we're going to take our first commercial break. When we come back, we're going to look at the, obviously, coaching change and the result from last night, where Dandytown defeated Somerset Trojans 4-3. We'll be right back.
Putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends, and that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
And welcome back. Well, last night up at the Somerset Cricket Club, Dandytown would have gone into this match without a recognized goalkeeper as the goalkeeper they had. Daniel, what's Daniel's last name? Daniel, and go for Dandytown.
I don't.
What's Daniel's last name? Here. You can't hear us. But anyway, Daniel was unable to play in goal last night, and they were forced to use Sion Darrow in goal. And of course, it was Aaron Denkins taking over the team in place of Jay Bean, who resigned the position. But they had some time to work on, and they came away with a 4-3 win. But the change, Punchy. As we know, Aaron Denkins was the coach last year. He was successful. They won the league. So the players already know his style, already understand what he demands from them, kind of thing. So do you think it was just a good fit for him to go back in that position, as the person, the voice they're going to hear on the side?
Yeah, I think so. I always knew that, as we spoke about, Dennytown had the quality of players. What they're trying to build there, considering that, in the next year or so, they're going to have the field's going to be ready. So it was just a matter of what needed to be done. Jay Bean, taking on the position, we always said that it's going to be a new voice that comes in the change room. And I heard there was a lot of clashes through, players talking. The clashes that his temperament, the players, it wasn't working. You could tell just by the first result. So that was a good change for Dennytown. And now you will see they go to Somerset and they win up there and score 4 goals, even though they let in 3, but they still came out victorious. So that's a good start for them under Jenkins again. And I'm saying it's going to calm those nerves. I mean, I'm sure he's been there for a while. So we'll see a different Dennytown the next 3 or 4 games for sure. Trust me, I think we will. Yeah.
And of course, Maceo, Somerset coming to this particular game on a high. They had just defeated Devonshire Cougars in the final, but now they're back at home. It's league play again. We know they've been struggling in the league. They only have the 2 victories, 5 defeats. But what do you think they're going to have to do to kind of make sure that they stay focused in getting themselves out of the predicament that they've put themselves in after 7 games thus far this season?
Well, it's the same conversation, right? Not getting ahead of yourself because you won something or you beat someone. Is sticking to what got you to that point. And we know Scott more than what he's going to bring is discipline up there, right? He's gonna bring discipline that's now got to translate from winning a cup to doing it week in and week out. So he was able to get the team up to win a cup. So now there's got to be some sense of belief happening up in Somerset. It's unfortunate that the next game was against Dennytown, right, where they had to play another wounded giant. But what's a good thing is that Somerset scoring goals. They got 3 goals across the line. So Morty will go to the point of organizing them defensively, right? So they just, again, it's about organization again.
Sure. And then, of course, 2 teams that have been wounded all season in Crossroads and Robin Hood faced off against each other at Lord's today. And, Crossroads, they hadn't scored many goals. They had scored 8. Robin Hood had only scored 2 coming into today's match. But Crossroads would come out 4-1 winners. As we know, Robin Hood coach, departed. He resigned as well. Not sure who's leading the team now. So, they still have a lot of work to do regarding how they're going to play this rest of the season out. They had a full team and a bench today. But how long will this last? How long do you think, they're going to be able to convince these guys to keep playing?
That's going to be
for me. What's happening at Robin Hood is undermining the foundation of the game. That game, that the defaulted 2 games. Everybody can see the collapse happening. Everybody can see it. Everybody saw that happening 2 years ago when Anton Russell and that left. They don't have the structure to sustain themselves through these type of periods, right? look at the difference where Somerset as an established club, or PHC as an established club, they lost a whole lot of players to school. I mean, Robin will make the excuse to school. People's been losing players to school and bad opportunities since Noah built the R. Robin doesn't have the structure to sustain themselves from that. And again, hopefully these conversations are part of the bigger conversation at the BFA here of how we restructure this league. So we don't undermine the level of the league. I mean, again, for me, I don't see Robin Hood surviving the season. One more defaulted game, the penalty is that they're going to be booted out of the league, right? But just
Well, they were able to get enough guys today. My hope is that those guys continue to show up and they don't default any more games.
But look what we're saying, like they were able to get enough guys today. That's like me saying I was able to get enough guys on purpose to play football, have a backyard kick. Like it's just undermining the foundation of the game.
Right.
Level of, level of the game. And I feel for the players. I always feel for the players. But again, we've got to talk about the structure of the club. We can't keep fighting ourselves in this position, because it undermines the fabric and the integrity of the game.
So Punchy, let's talk a little bit about Crossroads, because obviously with Ralph at the helm, they've now picked up their first win of the season, league win of the season. But they've been struggling as well. They just came up against a team that's in a worse position than they are.
Yeah, well, considering we're talking about Robin Hood. How many players showed up today for Robin Hood? What, 12?
I heard they had 17.
They had 17. Oh, okay. 17 quality players. Or who? My point is, sir, for Crossroads. Let me get back to Crossroads. I think Prentice and Davis, that could be a plus for them also. I think just the field venue would be good for them. Of course, when we're looking at the end of the season, who's going to drop down? I'm just putting my finger up right now for Robin Hood. And the next one is going to be a question about Boulevard. But I think Crossroads is going to make it. I do believe the Crossroads is going to make it. I do believe that.
They have another miracle season.
Yeah, I do believe. Again, they are of. Remember, they're not. They just became what the last 5, 6, 8 years institutional football. I'm always wondering, well, where did they come from? Where did Crossroads come from? So they're Cleveland County, really. Well, are they a cricket club or also? But or they associated. Anyway, I hope Mr. I know the president will probably listen to this program. Yes. But they're still a young institution.
Yes.
They are. So Gumbo, and again, when they were doing go with the Moroccan guy that left the country. But now, Gumbo is picking up the pieces there. So what they will be looking at for me for Crossroads was be survival and then recruitment for next year. Survival and recruitment. That's what Gumbo should be looking at. Because and then if he pinches and they get in the FA Cup and do something to go third, then that's good. But otherwise than that, it's still a similar problem. I think they've got a basis for what they want to do, but they're still a very young footballing club, right? And so it's going to take some time for them. And I think they made the right decision with Gumbo Jr. I'm sure they did. But we'll see if they get picking in the FA Cup and they against one another, and he's got to play. Who does he play for? 40 Kings, and then they play against Crossroads. One of them is going to be there. Yeah. But anyway, it's again getting back to Crossroads. I think all they got to do is just stay, just like Hamilton Parish. We'll get to Hamilton Parish. Just stay focused. Make sure you can maintain that survival, staying up in the division, which I think Hamilton Parish and Crossroads will do.
Yeah. Well, let's get to Hamilton Parish and Devonshire Cougars, because Devonshire Cougars were looking to bounce back from that loss to Somerset in the final, and of course Hamilton Parish would have been looking to make sure that they can pull themselves out of this big gap. Because if you look at it right now, at the close of today, you had North Village on 21, Devonshire Cougars on 16, St. George's, PHC, and Dendytown on 15. Hamilton Parish and Somerset are both on 6. That's 3 games. That's 3 games they will need to win to catch anybody right there. But Devonshire Cougars went down St. George's and they done the business. Looking at how Kwame has been able to have his team structurally play in the league, although last Friday didn't work out for them. Your thoughts on Devonshire Cougars, Maceo?
Yeah, it's the same conversation with him, right? With Kwame. I think he outthought himself in the finals, how he changed his team around and how he brought in the center back for his first game, and he outthought himself and Mortis discipline sort of won over. So it's going to be interesting, and we had this conversation about Kwame before, right? As to getting a pattern of play and then changing what was working. So hopefully he figures back out as to what was working to get his team in that position and start to keep mastering that way of doing stuff. So playing against Hamilton Paris would have been good for him, and to get that victory over the line, it will be what he does need to do from here is just get very consistent with how he's picking his team and the information that is given. And the information at this time should be just very, very standard and basic, because that's the level where the players are at. Just getting across the line, because you see that's what's happening with North Village. It's nothing fancy happening at North Village. It's very basic 101 defending.
Sure.
101 you can't score me, and they got away with defenders like Tyler Knights because he's committed. I mean, he would dive in and he'll come back and win a tackle before. So Devonshire Cougars need to get back to 101 basics.
Sure. And Punchy, for Sergio, he's facing something he didn't face over the last 2 years with Hamilton Parish, adversity. I mean, if you look at it, he had the better team in the first division, player versus player. Now it's a bit of a struggle now. You only got 6 points, and you're losing at home. Your thoughts on Sergio and Hamilton Parish at this time?
Well, I think we touched on this subject about this. They have a huge following. Some of the games, to say if they would have won this game against Norfolk, I still don't think they're the perfect. I don't think they got that quality that most people think they are, right? It tells by the results where they are. I think Sergio is doing the best he can with what he has. I think Sergio he's a very good coach. I think he's, but when you look at Hamilton Parish complete team, the whole overall, why they losing the game, there's not. When I first saw him play, I said, enthusiasm, good following. Yeah, let's see what they're really about. Because, playing in the other division, okay, you can beat Devonshire College, you're going to have this hard time against Rangers. Who else will be down there? Ben Boulevard was down there. But now, against the top teams, Hamilton Parish ain't going to win those games now. So Sergio's going to have to be in terms of what he has and what he's working with and how he's going to turn this around. Because I think here's another one's got to be thinking about survival now and pinching over maybe the FA Cup, right? But look what he has, 6 points. Who have they won against? They lost to North Village. I think they were beaten by PHC. And we did talk about it's when these teams come up, it's the way, what do they do when they got to play away from home? They got to play your Denny Towns. You got to play away from him from North Village. And you're not winning at home. You're not even winning your games at home now. So he's got a task on his hands. He's got a real task on his belief.
Let me ask you both your opinion, because it would appear after they beat Dendytown 4-1 that night, the players, I guess, felt that they had arrived. If you look at how the other results have gone thus far, I mean, without seeing them actually play, but do you think they got ahead of themselves?
So let's cross-reference this in that question. Good question, Aaron. We're going to cross-reference what happens with Hamilton Parish versus Scott Morton. Scott Morton brings this experience as a coach. He brings this discipline as a coach, right? And we know the players are capable of getting ahead of themselves because that's what I believe happened down Hamilton Parish. And now it's going to be on the coaching staff and Sergio to reel those players in. That's the challenge now. How do you reel those players in to continue to get these results? I tend to think that Scott Morton up Somerset's going to reel those players in. He's going to reel the players in to get the results across the line, you know. And let's just watch this space, right? Let's watch this space because I think we're correct in saying the players have got ahead of themselves. And contrary to what Pontius believe, I actually think Hamilton Parish have the quality player. They're just not putting together the puzzle and the performance that represents the type of player that they have. I know those players from their youth times, and those were the special players per se. But again, coaching, management, organization, how can you inspire somebody to get to the next level? You know, it's not good enough to just say we have this good player or we have this good situation. You have to now implement and perform.
Sure.
And I think Scott will implement and perform as we're seeing it. Scott's actually implemented and performed by getting Somerset a trophy that none of us thought he would get.
Right. At the beginning of the season, yeah. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take another commercial break, and we have a special guest that will join us after the break. We'll be right back.
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, you know, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
Putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
And welcome back. Well, gentlemen, we are joined by Remy Coddington, who plies his trade at West Ham United. Remy, first of all, welcome. We just wanted to have a quick chat with you regarding how you're progressing at West Ham, and then you've had your challenges, but now back in the team at the under 21. Last week you guys played in the Premier League International Cup. So take us through what your season has been like thus far up to this point.
Yeah, nice. Thank you guys for having me on the show. So far we've had a rough season. Haven't had the greatest start, but as of late our form has came in good. Got 3 wins in a bounce now. Happy to be a part of that. And we're trying to get our season going now. We're trying to push up the league.
Yeah. I know. Pa Top wants to talk. So go ahead, Pa.
How you doing, young man? I'm glad to have you back for the holiday, and there's a rest period for you.
Yeah.
I know you've been struggling a bit with the injuries and stuff like that. You've been back. You've seen a couple of games.
Yeah. I actually just went to
Um,
the game just now. Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad to, what have you found most harder for you now at West Ham now in terms of being in the first team, staying fit? What has been one of the things that have been hardest for you now at West Ham? What would you say has been the hardest things for you now? What you're dealing with now?
Yeah. Just one of the hardest things now is just being consistent every day, because you can have one good training session like once, and then for the rest of the week you just be mediocre, and then you won't be in the team. So I just found being consistent and every single day being number one, number one, number one, and then when it comes to Saturday, showing yourself as well. That's one of the hardest things now. Just at this level, you have to be consistent every single day. You can't take one day off, because that's one day that someone else is on the job, and then the coach can remember that last impression, if you know what I'm trying to say. So yeah, just that, being consistent, and also taking care of yourself. You have to always take care of yourself every day. You have to, even on your off days, you have to just be prepared, because when you come back in, you're going to be back into the fray, and it's going to be tough. So I would just say that.
Let me ask a question on that, because when you're facing injury after injury after injury, it must get you down mentally. So how have you managed that part of the game for yourself, that mental aspect of why do I keep getting injured? How come this keeps happening to me? Because you start doubting yourself, don't you?
Yeah, it's a great point, great question. Yeah. At times, you're just like to yourself, like, what is wrong with me? You know what I mean? Just that's just human nature. But you have to. For me personally, I always believe in myself. I was talking to the Delaware students the other day. I told them you should always have faith in your ability, have faith in yourself. So you just always have to believe in yourself. Know that what I'm doing will come out good. So like when I do get injured, like even if it's a minor injury and I'm out for like a bit, or like even when it was a big injury when I did my hamstring, I always knew when I came back I would be better, or like the same player. So I just think that's a big part of football as well, just having confidence in yourself, because it's very easy, as you guys know, to lose confidence, and then you will never be the same guy.
Thank you.
Yes. Hey, Ram, hey, welcome back. I'm glad you brought up this subject of taking care of yourself and what that looks like. I think what we're talking about is being professional, right?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say it. I think culturally, Bermudians lack the ability to be professional and be consistent every day with stuff, and we don't have the cultural behavior like that. And I will reflect back on our relationship and going cycling at 6 years old, creating a consistent behavior to match the talent that we got. What I ask of you, does talent even really matter at this level? At this level,
That,
does it even matter? Because
that's
I
an
think,
that's
yeah,
an
me and
excellent.
you had that conversations about people that go farther without talent.
Yeah, like what my uncle Mason just said right there is excellent point. Like talent, when you get to a certain stage of football, like maybe under 16, under 18, talent matters. Under 16, maybe even under 18, not really. I would say from under 8 to under 16 is when it really matters. Obviously, you need some talent, but when you get to under 18, under 21 in the first team, everyone's talented because they won't be there. So, like, and everyone's a good player, or else you won't be there. So, what really pushes you over the limit is your mental ability, like knowing, like what I said earlier, like knowing, yeah, I'm good. And also what Uncle Maso alluded to just there, taking care of yourself, being professional. And I think that's where some everyone's guilty of it, especially in Bermuda. Like Bermudians have a kind of like an easier life, so you just think, yeah, like I'm chilling. My mom will do this for me. You know what I'm trying to say? So I would just think that what my uncle Maso said right there was an excellent point. Yeah. So that's yeah.
Sure. Punch?
Mm. Well, I've seen you go, man. I see. Yeah. If you had to, you've been to see. I think you went to a game today.
Yeah.
And I think it was Samson and Cougars. Am I right?
I think wasn't it Hamilton Parish and Cougars?
Hamilton Parish Cougars. I'm sorry, Hamilton Parish Cougars. My bad. Watching the game and the structure of the game, which you and I used to discuss about structure. Mason and I, we all talk about the structure of the game. It's not to condemn. What did you find today? What did you see today? And being honest, because remember, a lot of people follow the show. What did you see that could be improved upon?
So today I saw some good talent. I saw some good talent on both teams. I just think the final product has to be better. And like, because like they were building, especially Hamilton Parish, they were building on it back well. they built through the midfield okay, and then when they got to the final third, it just broke down. I just think they need to improve on that last bit of the final third, because obviously goals win games. So they need to improve on that. I think like the final pass was just off on most occasions. That's why they couldn't find a breakthrough, I think. And then for in terms of Cougars, I think Cougars was okay. A little bit of lapse in judgment sometimes, maybe because they was winning 2-0 and they thought, yeah, this team easy, I guess. But just a little bit lapse in judgment. I think Cougars are 5 points behind Village. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you play a team like when they play Village, I think that's coming up in a few weeks. They're gonna need to be. They can't have them lapse in judgment, because it's a reason why Village are top of the league, and I think Village will punish them if they do stuff like that.
Any final question, Maceo?
Nah, I'm just wishing you well in the journey that you're in. I mean, I enjoy speaking with you from the intellectual piece of the game, and actually leads me to a question. As you look at the local game, do you and we talk about putting together the puzzle piece a lot on this show, meaning putting players in the correct positions where it aids the position and it aids the team and it aids the relationship with other players. Do you look around in the games that you're seeing? Do you look around and feel that coaches are putting that puzzle together well to get a rhythm out of the game, or is that something we need to improve on?
Yeah,
I'll give you an example, Rem. I don't know if you was looking at. I talked about earlier, and this is just. I mean, football's so opinionated, which is fine. I looked at the kid Malachi Jones at St. George's. I think is a right back.
Malachi Trott.
Malachi Trott, yeah, at St. George's. I think he could be a fabulous right back, a Trent Alexander type right back. But he's playing a number 10 that he doesn't score, and doesn't set up goals. So I question the puzzle piece to but I'll be interested to hear your position on what our ability to put that puzzle together looks like versus what you see in the professional environment.
Yeah, it's funny you just said that. I just had a conversation with Malachi about his position, and he wasn't happy about being a winger. But anyway, I think as you guys know, especially Uncle Maceo as a coach, his coach, it has to be 50-50 between the player and the coach. So you can't put someone on right back who's not gonna take that in, if you understand what I'm saying. He's not gonna want to play there, so he's not gonna play properly there anyway. So I think it has to be a 50-50. Somewhere you have to meet in the middle somewhere. Like the coach has to have the nous about him and the persuasion about him to tell the player like
exactly
to play there. You know what I'm trying to say? So you can't say, oh, he's a right back, and then if you play him right back, how good of a player he is, that's if in his body, if you don't want to play there, then he's not going to put his full potential out there. So I think it's just 50-50. And I think Uncle Mason makes a good point there about other players. I think the puzzle has to be. I saw a few players today playing a position that I don't think they were supposed to play, but that's just my opinion. But yeah.
So I put that out there for people, and I thank you for that answer, Rem. I put that out for because coaching is about persuading players to do what you think is best for the team. Pep Guardiola is a person that does that well. So that's what coaching is about. How do you persuade? I heard too many coaches in Bermuda say, well, he doesn't want to do this. He doesn't. What is your skill to persuade a player to do what's best for the team? Because players are innately selfish and they want the game, and that's okay. That's fine. But the skill of a coach is to persuade somebody to do what you think is best for the team.
Well, Pep dangles a check, and the coaches dangle.
But even dangling a check, you still have to persuade it. Even if it's a check.
It's that conversation, as Remy said, it's that conversation. You got to be
that conversation. So this is this is the piece that I'm talking about: having that conversation and that ability to meet the players in half and half somewhere where that he does something better for a team. And for me, it's not really about a check for. So look, like Remy says, when you get to a certain level in the game, it's not really about money. It's not everybody's talented. It's about who can persuade to implement what you want to do.
Yeah.
And I give an example. I always use the example of Kevin Jennings. He's not the easiest player to persuade. He's got a big personality. Between me and Streaker, we were able to persuade him to play right back when he played a lifetime at right wing. And Zeus did that for him too. Zeus, the German, was able to persuade our players to do certain different things that our local coaches wasn't able to do.
Right.
So I just want that point to be highlighted, you
Yeah.
know, from a coaching perspective is
Yeah.
what is your skill to persuade players to do what you need them to do? Because all the coaches do know about the game. Trust me. And all our fans know about the game. We're started it long enough to know about it. But do we have the skill of persuasion?
Yeah.
So,
I'm got a question for a last question. I'm sorry before my son goes. Now, Remy,
Mhm.
maybe you can offer some advice to young people, because I know when we first went to go to England, a lot of young people leaving this country now, young footballers, and the parents are sending them overseas to England. And wherever they're going, when they're 10 or 12 years old, what advice would you say to the parents for them to get their kids prepared? Because, you know, a lot of times I think, you know, my child, he's gonna make it.
Yeah.
What advice, what information would you give us or to the listening public now about what they should be doing now to get the young man prepared, or the young girl prepared for what's to come in England or wherever part of Europe they go to?
Yeah.
What advice would you give them, the
That's a good
parents?
question. That's a very good question. First of all, I would say have a good idea of where you want to go. You can't just say, "Oh, I want to go to London," because sometimes London's not good for every person. Sometimes London will get you involved in stuff that you don't want to be involved in. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So first of all, have an idea of where you want to go. You can't just go to the most. Oh, I want to go to London and Manchester, because that will, if you're easy persuaded, they'll get you into things that you shouldn't be into. Second of all, you have an idea what you want to do. Not everyone's going to want to, like you said, for some girls, not everyone's going to want to be a footballer. So you can't go to certain places where football is the main thing. You understand what I'm saying? So that was the second point. Also, have a realistic idea. You're not just going to go straight to Man United. You're not going to go straight to West Ham. You're not going to go straight to Tottenham. So have a realistic idea of what your child is able to do, and realistically, don't just be biased because it's your kid. I would say, because that's what I see happening a lot. Because parents just think, oh, my kid's good in Bermuda, he could go right to Manchester City. No, you can't. That's what I would say. So I would say, first of all, have an idea of where you want to go, and a realistic idea, and be realistic about your child's abilities and stuff like that.
yeah. And my final question is: you're here on a break. You still have to do your work. You still have to put in the work, put in the extras. So what would this period look like for you, as far as you making sure you stay in shape, so when you hit that ground back in the UK, you're off and running, to show the coaches you haven't slacked off?
Yeah, but right now I'm just nursing a little ankle I got in the game against PSV I just played. So
Okay.
so my physio basically just told me, really just go and have a little swim. I just have a beach down there, so I just go in the water a bit and just relax, really. So right now I go to the beach sometimes, and then I'm just relaxing right now. So when I go back, I'm ready.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank you very much for joining us here on the Island Stats Football Show. And before you head back, we want to welcome you back, just to see, what's new heading back to the UK for you. All right. All right. Yeah. We're going to take another commercial break. When we come back, we're going to be talking First Division scores. We'll be right back.
Thanks a lot.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
And welcome back. Well, yesterday at the Southampton Oval, Southampton Rangers took on Somerset Eagles. Both teams of late had been struggling. Obviously, Rangers had a 2-game losing streak, but Eagles were struggling to score goals, and we ended up with a 7-4 result. At one point in time, Southampton Rangers were up 7-0. They were up 6-0 at halftime. There was an own goal early in the second half. They were up 7-0. And then from somewhere, Eagles found 4 goals to kind of, get their season underway. The Eagles has had an influx of players from, the late transfer come in, but they were behind the 8 ball so quick. Rangers were scoring at will in that first half. But Maceo, let's talk a little bit about Southampton Rangers. They could be a Jekyll and Hyde team on any given day.
They are. I mean, they have a 30-year history of this behavior. Up, down, up, down, up, down. This is not new. They got 7 goals, and they have the behavior of one game. 7 goals where I should close the game out 7-0, and then it ends up 7-4. So everything about their culture and their behavior says this. It says this, and this is a culture and a behavior they haven't fixed or improved for 40 years, 50 years. We know what we're gonna get. We know what we'll get. Once in a while, we can get a player out of Rangers that has some quality, such as Gennaro Taka, or somebody like that. Once in a while, we get a Joan Taka, or we get a Randy Bean out of Rangers. But it's actually getting worse because we're not getting that player out of Rangers in the last 20 years now. That player of certain quality is not coming out of there anymore. So it's getting worse for me.
I mean, yesterday's match, Dante Brinkman really controlled things for them in the game. Because he's a standout player.
Okay, we got that player, Dante Brinkman. Yeah, so okay, I take that back. We got one out of there that's capable of playing football.
Punchy, the struggles that Somerset Eagles are having, is there an end in sight?
I don't know. They don't really have no. Even with the additions that they have, the players that come on, the 7-4. Wow. Just so what is Jeremy doing? What is Jeremy? I'm questioning what's going on up there with Jeremy. The numbers are there, looks to me, but the results have not improved. Is it quality, a lack of quality, or is it a lack of organization? What's going on up there? I think this is his first year in charge of a senior team. I think so.
Well, yeah, because he's been assisting.
Yeah, it's the first year, and he's up in the West End, and you know what it's like, the culture there. So a little bit less different from being up in Somerset coaching at White Hill, but I would have thought with the young talent that they have, right? This talent, the young, I wouldn't say talent, this enthusiasm, and the young players, then you got to have something. You got to make something work there. It'd be interesting to watch them play. I haven't seen them play at all.
Yeah.
Right.
I watched yesterday. Even when they were down 6-0, they were still creating chances. They and I was like, man, they had opportunities, but if you look at Rangers were putting the ball away with ease. When I say with ease, every shot that was on target ran in the goal, and believe it or not, the goalkeeper was not getting it. They were not getting. He was not getting the goals that they got, which kind of when things are going your way like that,
right?
What can you do?
I don't. Somerset Eagles not a team that's gonna fold. They're not gonna be. They're not. No, they have there's something. They still have that you know, what they have up there in that area. Players come in Somerset area, right? Right. But they're not gonna fool. But they're not gonna. I think they're just gonna be what they are until they get better players. Somebody's gonna go up there and change them around better players, better senior players. I don't think there's a seniority in the team either. That's also a problem. Leadership.
Kenny will end his career up here. How's that?
I mean,
No.
just on that point, real quick, you know, just so we know, as we say, getting better players, there's no way of getting better players at this time unless you create better players, and that means having a better youth structure. There's no way of getting better players. There's no better players in Bermuda right now. That's just
my point is, I was told that they got all these young players that coming from Somerset on the 70s, on the 80s.
They were able to put some in yesterday.
Oh, okay, yeah, but what is the quality?
Rangers just jumped all over him. Rangers just jumped all over him. They didn't even give him a chance to settle.
Wow. Well, like I said, I think they will not fool. There's enough support up there. They're not going to fool, because of young following. But they're not going to be. They're just going to exist. That's it. They would exist as the Somerset Eagles, and that's going to be what I think about them.
Sure. And then last night up at Somerset Cricket Club, Paget defeated Devonshire Colts 4-1. 2 goals from Antoine Russell, 1 from Deion Stovall. I mean, you know, these guys, and 1 from Shakir Smith. So, you know, 3 veterans getting on the score sheet for Paget. Where are the youngsters? Where is everybody else? Because how much longer can these veterans play, especially if they go up? Punchy?
Yeah, that would be a cause of concern for them. But Paget, you know, again, it's about direction, the future of the club, and you're looking at, okay, if you are quote unquote promoted, what you gonna do after that? What's the next thing? You can get players that come and follow you. I think Antoine is, you know, starting out, but we're still talking about structure. And Paget's also been in the last 5 years, all of it in and out. Now you got a group of guys. Yes, if they promoted this year, if they're promoted, what's going to happen? It will be like a Hamilton Parish, I think. It will be like a Hamilton Parish. I sure do believe, with no following, but I still believe that what we're talking about here is a whole construction of a team. You know, of a society, of a Paget is still like in and out. They're not an institutional footballing club.
Well, let's talk about that, because I think every club has tried the Vasco model. Every club and the Vasco model, we could go back to the Gumbos, where we could get the best players and we can win at this level, and we could win for a decade, or we could win for 5 years, but then it's not sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not sustainable. So each club is, I mean, all the established clubs are even trying that now. I mean, even North Village is doing that. You know, a large percentage of North Village players didn't grow up at North Village Club. PHC is probably one of the only clubs that the players grew up at their club where they got a sustainable model, right? Maybe they're not winning. So, well, everybody's trying the Vasco model. Everybody wants to take a shortcut to winning at the level, and it's undermining the whole fabric of our league.
You know what destroy the program.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, Devonshire Colts, another one. You don't know what you're going to get when they show up. I mean, you know, we talked about Devonshire Colts last week, and you know, unfortunately, they came out on the wrong side. They had a Paget team that's firing on all cylinders.
Yeah. So we know that for Paget, you know, they could be sustainable right now, and when they get up to the next level, if it doesn't work out, we know what happens with that. We're seeing it. So if we keep, I mean, the definition of insanity is we keep doing the same thing over and over and think you can get a different result. I already see what the result is for Paget in the next year or two.
Yeah.
But I add into this again discussion that we have about moving forward, about what I talked about last week with Devonshire Colts, with Ray Jones. You know, it comes a time when you got to make a move. You got to decide what you want to do. He's been in the national program. I don't think I applaud him for his sincerity, what he wants to do with Devonshire Colts. But don't you want a challenge? Don't you want to say, well, I'm going to move on now. I'm going to give myself, because I thought he could have took the Crossroads job. He might even take the Boulevard job. Why is he still the? I don't think that Devonshire Colts is going to be another discussion about clubs and folding. What do they have? Do they have quality there? I don't think they have a whole lot of quality there. So my position on with Ray Jones and ask that question, well, maybe you need to move on. You need a new challenge.
And somebody
That's
else.
That's what I think. And stop operating with players. Stop just. I mean, I'm not. What I'm saying to you, sometimes I think my question would be about Ray Jones, especially he's been in the national program, and the results are not there. So I would think that if you're going to be in the national program, you need to be in a team. You need to show us success at the team level that you're coaching, and it's not showing up with Devonshire Colts.
Well, earlier today it was BAA defeating St. David's 3-0. A young BAA team. They basically, St. David's at times were looking to try to manhandle these young men, but St. David's team is not much older than the BAA players as well. So it was evenly matched. It was just BAA had a little more talent, and it showed today. They were able to knock the ball around, and at times St. David's were able to knock the ball around as well, but they just lacked that final third force to try to get there to go. But looking at what because Andrew was today on the bench, he had stepped away for a little bit, but being back on the bench, you could see a different way of BAA whenever Andrew is around. So looking at BAA, Maceo, I mean, able to beat St. David's 3-0. Where do they go? How do they go? Move on from here?
Well, it's two conversations about BA. We know what we can get with Andrew, right? And what he's capable of. He can. I think Andrew, if he really wanted to, he could win a league from home. If he can just make calls and win a league from home if he wanted to. But the problem with that is, when are we going to be able to develop something that's at Andrew level beyond Andrew? When is that knowledge still going to be passed on that somebody's capable of doing that, and Andrew takes on a different type of role? That's it. That's the problem. So we know what's going to happen when it's there. That's proven over and over. I mean, I keep saying Andrew went down Boulevard and organized. When somebody's going to want to learn what he hears, right. When are we in Bermuda going to want to learn what a Scott Morton hears? When are we going to learn what a Dennis Brown hears? And it starts to filter into the next generation of coaches.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the problem. BA is going to be all right. There was always going to be there was always going to be St. David's, right? There was always going to be St. David's. St. David's don't have the behavior to really rough you up. They like St. David's like North Village football. They got blessed with North Village football in the 70s, and that stuck with them. They don't have North Village players, but they like North Village type of football. So they're not going to be really good at roughing you up, right? There's a gangster culture. They're actually nice people down there, right?
Unless you're from St. George's.
Unless you're from St. George's. Yeah,
Punchy.
Yeah, unless you're from St.
George's. Learned it the other way.
Ask me about that.
Yeah, if you're from St. George's, it's a whole different thing. Then they can rough you up.
It's interesting, again, case study of St. David's, Santos Eagles. Page's a little different, but St. David's is also, when I was coaching out there, Andrew went down, and I think Sergio went down there. So again, we're talking about what are they attempting to do? Are they are there to help community? I think a community club. It's a community club, and that's what they stand for, a community club. And they're happy with what they are achieving. I'm very sure about that. I'm sure about that. In terms of progress, what they're going to do, there's Aaron, Lugo. They do have the coaches in place. What's a junior program like? So we will have this conversation 2 years from now. I think St. David's will probably be exactly the same way what we're talking about now. in terms of, and if they do get promoted, just like Social Club, who are they gonna attract?
Well, that's you bring up, but I know this should be our new buzzword. What you're saying, having case studies, actually studying something historically and what it did, what it didn't do, the good of it. And so when we make a decision to restructure, we're making decisions based on studies, not based on not based on our emotions or our feelings. It's based on factual studies. So that should be our new buzzword around this show, as to having case studies of clubs and football. I mean, I've studied it in my head only to win against clubs, right? When I was coaching. So I knew the culture of clubs, culture of people. So it was based on winning, trying to win and defeat them. But I have that information. I think we should collectively, as an organization, the BFA or the clubs, do case studies on ourselves, do independent case studies on ourselves to collect factual information. Because I think, as we're talking about the show, we see certain patterns that we saw in the 1950s and 60s that are still here today.
Yeah. Well, and it's a very good point. I'm sorry, Earl, but it's a very good point, because I brought this up a couple of weeks ago. What's happening in the West End? When you cut off that line from PHC and you go west, what is happening to the demise of football in the West End? There's something that's a case study. There's really something to really look at in terms of what's happened up there. From Rangers, White Hill, Sons of Cricket Club, and Island Rangers. What has gone wrong?
Well, the other unique thing is that there was always a West End Rovers team in the Corona League that they don't have this year.
No.
Which is concerning.
This is very concerning.
But for St. David's, they have in their coaching team is Cameron Fox, and he's been around the likes of Andrew, for quite some time, understudy of sorts. So he has a way of delivering his message. I guess only St. David's Islanders could take it. So but it's just one of those things where he has the smarts because he's been around the other coaches for quite some time. It's just a matter of how he's going to be able to get that through to the players, and in a timely manner, because time's running out. Especially.
Interesting enough, Cameron, I've interacted with him when I was at the coaching association, and interesting enough, he thinks about football the exact way I think about football. Only difference is I'm down North Village and he's down St. David's. So within the structure of what I was brought up in North Village, I'm able to become as successful. But with what he brought up in St. David's, he's not as successful or accomplished. But he thinks about football the same exact way I think about it. He's somebody that I would like to work with in football.
Right. Yeah. And then
so that's just very interesting, right?
Yeah. The final first division match, it was Island Rangers falling to Wolves 3-1. Wolves had a player sent off in the second half. Island Rangers scored first, but then Wolves would score 3 times. But if we look at the season that Island Rangers have had, another team, Jacqueline Hyde, you just don't know what's going to show up on the day.
Yeah, you don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know. And that just goes back to Remy's point about consistency at this level, right?
Right.
At this level, and I think I've said it on the show, at this level, all our players in Bermuda are the same. It's just now who's going to be consistent, who's going to manage them better, because we can go back in a better time in football when Colts won the FA and there was a second division team, right? And then they came up and won the league, But remember who they had? They had was it Air Bowl? Not Air Bowl. Johnny, what's Bowl name? He had his son playing for him as well. I don't know why.
Vic Ball.
Vic Ball. They had
Vic Ball. Yes.
What Vic Ball had? He had discipline.
Yeah.
He had discipline. So this last time Colts won the league, they had discipline. He had organization. And this is what we're starting to lack. We're starting to lack discipline. We lack discipline in organization, and that's called professionalism.
Yeah.
And we're lacking it.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to take another commercial break. When we come back, it is picks time and player of the week to be discussed. We'll be right back.
Putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
Identifying their road to.
Welcome back. Well, let's get into these picks from last week, or from this weekend. On Thursday night, it was Boulevard Blazers going down 3-0 to North Village Rams. They all took North Village. St. George's Colts went down 3-2 to PHC. We all took St. George's Colts. Devonshire Cougars defeated Hamilton Parish 2-0. We all took Devonshire Cougars. We all took Somerset Trojans to defeat the Dennytown Hornets, but the Dennytown Hornets won 4-3. Crossroads and Robin Hood, we all took Crossroads, and Crossroads won that match 4-1. In the first division, Southampton Rangers and Somerset Eagles, we all took Southampton Rangers. Rangers won that 7-4. Paget Lions over Devonshire Colts 4-1. We all took Paget. Wolves taking on Island Rangers. We all took Wolves. And St. David's and BAA. Myself, Punchy, and Maceo all took BAA. And if you could recall, last week, Coach Keita said she's done with St. David's. And they cut her power off. She had to go. She went off the air. So she took St. David's this week and I lost again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll have to have a chat with her. But I guess her power's still off because she's probably telling them she's through with St. David's after this loss. So yeah. Now this week we have. I'm sorry. So at the end of it, myself, Punchy, Maceo, we all finished with 7, and Coach Keita finished with 6. Myself and Punchy on 43. Maceo and Coach Keita are on 40. Heading into Thursday night, this is a matchup, and Punchy, you're up first. Robin Hood will face Hamilton Parish at BAA Field. Punchy.
I don't think Hamilton Parish on this. I still don't think Robin Hood is up to that. Hamilton Parish to win this. That could be that's survival mode now.
Sure.
They need this one. I think they will win that game.
Sure.
Yeah, easily. Easily Hamilton Parish.
Okay. And
I'm gonna pick Robin Hood not to win a game this year.
Mm-hmm.
okay. And I'm going to take Hamilton Parish as well. I think they have enough to get over the line for this one. Saturday afternoon up at the Somerset Cricket Club, Somerset Trojans take on the Boulevard Blazers. Maceo.
Yeah, Somerset will beat them. Somerset's gonna, yeah. It's got a little spice to, Jamal going back up Somerset after being let go and not his contract not being renewed. So it's got a little spice to it, but Scott Morton's going to organize for him. It's organized for Boulevard to break them down.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take Somerset as well, and I will say that because they gave up 4 goals against an organized Devonshire Cougars team. I'm sorry, Dendy Town Hornets team. But as you've already indicated, Scott will organize that defense, and Boulevard right now is struggling to score goals. So I think Trojans will have enough at the other end to win this one.
I love the challenge Scott's got on his hand. It's like it's got a B club, a B team right now that has got to, bring out all his coaching skills to get results, and it's got them. And he'll bring them out, right?
So Punchy, you take it.
Yeah. I'm with you guys on it. I think Summers doing Boulevard in chaos. Even with the players that they got, I still think they're in chaos, man. I just the behavior, when they were down 2-0 against North Village. There's the appetite to say, okay, I'm get up, I'm gonna fight this one on, I'm gonna do the correct things. They were arguing with one another. They're not gonna win this game. No, Summers is gonna beat this game. Morton will make sure that they're
Sure. The next match is Saturday night, and it's Dendy Town Hornets host the PHC Zebras. Now, with Sion and goal against Somerset, Daniel Johnson out injured. Not sure of the injury, whether or not he'll be available. But if that's the scenario, I've got to go with PHC only because they find ways to score, and they don't give up many goals. So I know Dandy Town are in a position now. They have their former coach back in position. He will help to organize them, but I just think that PHC has the edge in this particular match. So I'm going to take PHC on Saturday night at BAA Field. Punchy?
I'm gonna go against you on this one,
Okay.
That win up there is Somerset, and now they're gonna play out BA. I think I'm gonna give Denny Town the edge on this one. Maybe a 2-1. Usually, both teams gonna score goals. Both teams will score goals. This ain't, most of the time we don't ever hear about draws. We don't even talk about draws. But I'm gonna give Denny Town the edge on this one.
Okay. Maceo?
Yeah, PHC is gonna remind Danny Town that they're still wounded. And PHC is a little bit farther ahead of where Dandy Town is now. I think PHC is gonna edge them out.
Sure. Okay. On Sunday at Lords and St. David's, Crossroads hosting George's Colts. Punchy.
With that loss the other day, Crossroads not going to win. St. George is going to beat this game. I think they're listening to the show. I get a lot of feedback from them. So I think when we, what we were talking about, what the lacking, what's going wrong the game against PHC. I think they'll get it right. And I think playing at Lords is too open. I think St. George is going to win this game.
Okay. Maceo?
Well, St. George's is showing that they're able to beat other non-football clubs, established football clubs. And Crossroads is not an established football club just yet, as far as, their pedigree in Bermuda. And St. George's can beat those type of games. So St. George's with the players that they have will beat that game.
Yeah, I was going to say that they're beating the teams they should be beating.
Yeah, they should be.
So
and if we just dig a little farther, why they're beating those teams, because they're just not football and established clubs knowing how to get it. So St. George's struggle to beat the Cougars or North Village or PHC, but all the non-footballing clubs they can beat.
Yeah. The final Premier Division game of the weekend is at 6 o'clock on Sunday evening at Devonshire Recreation Club, where Cougars host North Village. Maceo, you want to get ready for this?
Yeah.
Remy said, if Cougars make the mistakes that they made down at Wellington over today, North Village will punish them.
Where is that game to?
Devonshire Recreation.
Devonshire Rec.
Yeah, North Village is going to struggle with Devonshire Rec, right? On the heavy field in that environment at 6 o'clock, they're going to struggle out there. You know, they always have struggled there. Remember the last game that they played out there against Dennytown, that was 4-0.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so just because of that, they're going to struggle out there. So I'm picking a draw this time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see them being able to, and potentially we're going to see a 0-0 draw. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think right now the confidence is high in North Village. They believe they could beat every team, and that belief there will get them an edge victory over Devonshire Cougars. So I'm going to take North Village. Punchy?
With what I saw last night, so Kenny down to the game yesterday, no, against St. George's and PHC, I saw him down there. So he's doing his homework, of course. He's doing his homework. I think he's going to do his homework against Cougars, what he will want. I think this is going to be one of those games where they all go. It's not going to be an open game. I think it's going to be one of those games where the odd goal or the mistake is going to cause the team to lose. And I think North Village, the way they've been set up, you know, the momentum now, I think they got the edge on Cougars. I will go for a draw, but I'm giving North Village the edge on this one out there.
Okay. All right. Now we go to the first division. And on Thursday night, the opener before Robin Hood and Hamilton Parish is BAA and Paget. I just think Paget have just a touch more quality and experience than in certain players than BAA right now, and I think the bigger guys at Paget will be able to push the younger guys from BAA around a lot more, and that intimidating factor comes in. So I'm going to take Paget. Punchy?
A good point, Earl. Yeah. Experience. I mean, even with Andrew's coaching, experience in this one is gonna show up. You know, I think I'm gonna give Paget to win also on this.
Yeah, Antoine Russell and
Dion Stubble
and Shakir, they're gonna be too experienced for these kids. You know, they can take it. They're gonna be able to take advantage of any mishaps. So I'm picking Paget too.
Okay. On Sunday at Wellington Oval, Wolves face Somerset Eagles. Punchy.
That's a no down. That's Wolves. Hands down on that.
Okay. There's no middle cross.
It's it's hands down.
No middle cross. So Somerset Eagles had to deal with Dante yesterday. Now this week they gotta deal with Troy Tucker.
Exactly.
Somerset Eagles is not won yet, have they?
Nope.
No, they haven't.
Yeah.
No, they haven't.
Wolves for sure. Wolves.
Yeah. I'm gonna take Wolves as well. And then Maceo, you're up. St. David's host Southampton Rangers.
Jesus. Boy, anything. Where they host Don St. David's, right?
Yes.
I'm just throwing this one up in the air, man. Rangers. I don't even know. I don't know how to analyze. I don't know how to analyze this. Like Rangers, I don't know how to analyze this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Rangers as well, and I'm gonna tell you why. I saw the St. David's players today try to outmuscle the BAA players. The Southampton Rangers players will do the same thing to the St. David's players, and then try to intimidate them. And of course, Rangers have just a few more experienced guys, and I think that's gonna give them the edge. It'll probably be 2-1, but I think Rangers will pull this one out. Okay. Punchy?
I'm gonna go with Rangers on this one also. Just even that victory they got this week on 7-4. When they beat up, they beat Eagles 7-3. But I'm gonna go with Rangers on this. I think again, experience. I think the interesting thing is what Rangers what they want to achieve this year.
Mhm.
But I think every victory that they're getting, they're going to get stronger mentally. I think I'm going to go with Rangers. Rangers will win this one against the Davids.
Sure, sure. Final game is at Police Field. Social Club take on Devonshire Colts. Over the past few weeks, Social Club have had several injuries. As we saw, the results were not in their favor. They've had several injuries and players away, unavailable, and so forth. But I was assured today that they have everybody back, if not, minus one or two. And I think the confidence and wanting the ability to stay on top of the table because they are the current league leaders. I think they'll have enough to get over Devonshire Colts on Sunday. So I'm going to take Social Club. Punchy?
I'm going to take Social Club also. I think Devonshire Colts is still not. I don't know what's going on in that club, but I just think that Social Club going to beat them. And just by the odd goal, too.
Maceo?
Yeah, momentum's going to carry Social Club. And, I've seen him play a little. I saw Social Club play a half, and I know what Streaker brings to the table, what his organizational piece looks like, and you can see they're trying to implement from that perspective of the organization. And as soon as you give a little organization against Devonshire Colts, you can beat them.
Well, last week we discussed the player of the week, and we chose Justin Bell from the North Village Rams, and this was the presentation with Justin Bell.
Good afternoon, my name is Ethan Phillip. I'm here with Justin Bell, playing for North Village Rams, and he brought his team a victory by scoring a hat trick, and this is his congratulations as Goslin's Player of the Week. So congratulations, Justin.
Thank you.
You did an excellent job. Keep doing your thing, bro.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
And that was the player of the week. So now, as we know, we're always a week behind. So we're looking at the people from the Dudley final and the FA Cup. We could stand out Scott Morton. I know we say the player of the week, but his game plan for Somerset in that Dudley Eve stands out as someone that could be recognized for the player of the week. Malachi Jones scored a hat-trick for Tough Dogs as they advanced in the FA Challenge Cup. Keishan Bean scored a hat-trick for 40 Kings. They advanced in the FA Cup, as well as Troy Tucker scoring 2 goals for Wolves. They advanced in the FA Cup. And looking at these four, Maceo, who stands out for you?
For me, the significance stands out for me, right? The significance of what it meant, what Scott Morton has done, that's not been done up Somerset for quite some time, and the potential where it can go, with Somerset connecting back to their winning ways, their Silver City ways. That significance, if Scott's going to be in the runnings for this, my vote's going to be for Scott Morton.
Sure. Punchy?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Scott Morton also. Is it the first trophy of the year, right? For the season, isn't it?
Yeah.
Second.
Yeah. So that's really momentum. I mean, even losing the game today or today up there, even losing to Denicon, it's not all doom and gloom. But of course, Scott's going to build something there, and I don't think it's started. What I thought before was that we talked about what from Jomai Boulevard. That when I saw what they did against Cougars when they lost at 6-0 or 6-1 that Sunday afternoon, I said, "Whoa, this guy's got a job on it." But it's coming together. It's putting pieces together. It's coming together. So I think again, Scott deserves that. What he did against Cougars out there.
Again, he had to, as Maceo and Remy had talked about, he had to convince the players they had what it takes to go down to a place where they lost 6-0 earlier in the season, twice, because they lost 6-0 to Cougars, and they lost 6-0 to PHC on that same field. But he had to convince those players that they can go down there, stick to a game plan, and make it work for them. And I think, just that. Now, again, he has to reel them back in because, they were probably still thinking we could take on anybody now. We could do this to anybody. When not every day, you're going to be sticking to that game plan, and that's where you fall down. But yeah, for him to be able to convince those players who have struggled this season to do what they've done on Friday and surprised so many people.
All of it.
Really,
All of it, right?
yeah.
I wrote them off way before the game was started, right?
Right. But they were able to, and I want to congratulate them once again for being crowned the Dudley Eve champion. So we're gonna say that Scott Morton, you're the player of the week. So guys, we'll be back. We may, because of the significance of the Devonshire Cougars North Village match next week, we may move the show to Monday, just because I know it's going to be a lot of interest in that particular match, and it's only 2 games on Sunday. It's the Crossroads St. George's at 3, and then it's the Devonshire Cougars and North Village at 6 p.m. So we'll decide and we'll let everyone know when the show will air next weekend. Okay. Enjoy your night.
Take care out. All right, Mace.
Okay.